Too often, people define themselves by the opinions of others. They allow the praise or criticism of friends, family, colleagues, or even strangers to shape how they see their worth. If someone tells them they are not good enough, they begin to believe it. If someone compliments them, they may feel validated, but only temporarily. This constant reliance on external approval becomes a trap because your value is not determined by others. True worth comes from within, from the understanding that who you are is independent of what anyone else thinks. It is not measured by popularity, accolades, or acceptance. It is measured by your integrity, your courage, and your commitment to living according to your own principles. When you make the mistake of letting others define you, you hand over your power. You stop making decisions based on what you truly want and start making them based on what will please, impress, or avoid conflict with others. You compromise your dreams to fit someone else's vision. You silence your voice to avoid criticism. You shrink yourself to feel accepted. But life was never meant to be lived in the shadow of someone else's expectations. The moment you realize that your worth is intrinsic, you reclaim control over your story. You stop living to satisfy the judgment of others and start living to honor your own potential. One of the greatest challenges is learning to separate constructive feedback from destructive opinion. Constructive feedback is offered by people who genuinely care about your growth and improvement. Destructive opinions are rooted in judgment, fear, or envy and are meant to manipulate, control, or diminish your confidence. Understanding the difference allows you to filter out the noise and focus on what truly matters. The opinions of others should never overshadow your sense of self or prevent you from pursuing your goals. You are not what they say you are. You are what you decide to be. It is also important to recognize that people will always have opinions about your choices. No matter how well you do, someone will criticize. No matter how much you succeed, someone will doubt you. If your sense of worth is tied to external validation, you will be constantly at the mercy of their moods and judgments. But if your sense of worth is internal, criticism loses its power and praise becomes a pleasant addition rather than a necessity. This inner confidence allows you to act boldly, take risks, and follow your dreams without hesitation. When you embrace the idea that your worth is not in someone else's opinion, you begin to live authentically. You make decisions that align with your values, pursue goals that excite your heart, and speak words that reflect your true beliefs. You stop apologizing for your ambitions and stop shrinking to fit someone else's expectations. Your self-respect grows, your confidence soars, and your life becomes a reflection of your own vision rather than a shadow of others' opinions. This understanding is the foundation for courage, freedom, and personal fulfillment. Breaking free from labels and expectations is one of the most powerful steps you can take toward living an authentic life. Society, peers, and even family often try to put people into boxes, assigning roles, limitations, and definitions based on what they see, what they understand, or what they are comfortable with. These labels can feel harmless at first, but over time they become invisible chains that restrict your potential. You may hear phrases like, "That's not for you," "You'll never make it," or "This is just how you are," and gradually start to internalize them. The problem is that when you accept these labels, you allow others to dictate the boundaries of your life, and you start living according to someone else's story instead of your own. Expectations work in a similar way. People project their hopes, fears and assumptions onto you, often without realizing the pressure it creates. They expect you to follow a path that makes sense to them, to succeed in ways that fit their vision, or to conform to societal norms. When you chase these expectations, you may achieve certain forms of success, but it often comes at the cost of your own dreams, passions, and happiness. You start measuring your worth by how well you meet these external standards, rather than by how faithfully you follow your own calling. Breaking free from labels and expectations begins with self-awareness. You must recognize when you are acting out of obligation to others rather than out of alignment with your true self. It requires courage to say no to the paths that have been chosen for you, even if they come with approval or comfort. It means daring to be different, daring to pursue what excites you, and daring to ignore the naysayers who believe they know what's best for your life. Every moment you act in alignment with your own vision, you chip away at the limitations that others have tried to impose. Another key aspect is redefining your identity on your own terms. You get to decide who you are, what you stand for, and what kind of life you want to lead. Labels are merely words until you assign meaning to them. When you refuse to accept restrictive definitions, you reclaim control over your narrative. Your identity becomes flexible, dynamic, and expansive, allowing you to explore possibilities that others may have never imagined. Breaking free also involves surrounding yourself with people who support your individuality. Those who encourage conformity, discourage ambition, or belittle your uniqueness will only reinforce the limits others have placed on you. Instead, seek mentors, friends, and allies who celebrate your differences and challenge you to grow. With the right environment, it becomes easier to trust your instincts, follow your passions, and step boldly into the life you were meant to create. Ultimately, liberation from labels and expectations is a lifelong practice. Every day presents new challenges and pressures to conform. Every decision offers a choice between living for others or living for yourself. The more you consistently choose to honor your authentic self, the stronger your courage, confidence, and clarity become, and the more you move toward a life that reflects your true potential. Defining yourself through action rather than approval is one of the most important steps toward personal freedom and fulfillment. Many people spend their lives seeking validation from others, measuring their worth based on likes, compliments, or recognition. They wait for approval before taking a risk, making a decision, or pursuing a dream. This dependence on external validation creates a life of hesitation, doubt, and compromise because your choices are dictated by what others might think instead of what your heart truly desires. The problem is that the approval of others is unpredictable and often fleeting. One day you are celebrated, the next day you are criticized, and your sense of self becomes a roller coaster controlled by outside forces rather than your own inner compass. Action is the antidote to this cycle. When you define yourself by what you do rather than what others think, you reclaim control over your life. Every decision you make, every goal you pursue, and every step you take toward your vision becomes a reflection of your values, not someone else's expectations. Action demonstrates commitment, courage, and self-respect. It is the concrete proof of who you are and what you are capable of, and it cannot be taken away by opinions or criticism. By focusing on action, you shift the source of validation from outside to inside, building confidence that is steady and resilient. The challenge is that action often requires courage especially when it goes against the approval of others. People may question your choices, doubt your abilities, or even discourage you outright. If you are seeking validation, these responses can be paralyzing. But when your sense of self comes from action, criticism becomes irrelevant. You measure success by whether you are moving in the direction of your goals, not by whether others nod in agreement. Every step you take toward your vision reinforces your identity and diminishes the need for external approval. Action also creates momentum. Every small step compounds over time, building a track record of accomplishments that cannot be disputed by skeptics. This momentum strengthens your resolve, expands your confidence, and opens doors that were previously inaccessible. In contrast, waiting for approval or reassurance keeps you stagnant, stuck in a cycle of indecision and self-doubt. The more consistently you act, the less power others' opinions have over you, and the more empowered you become to define your own story. Finally, defining yourself through action encourages authenticity. When your choices are guided by your values, passions, and goals rather than by the desire to please others, you live a life that is genuine and aligned. People will notice your authenticity, and your influence grows naturally because it is rooted in integrity rather than in seeking favor. Over time, the focus on action transforms your mindset, your confidence, and your impact, proving that your worth is not determined by external validation, but by the courage and consistency of your actions. Strength grows when you stand alone. It is easy to follow the crowd, to take the path of least resistance, and to seek comfort in the approval of others. But true strength is forged in moments of solitude, when you dare to stand up for your beliefs, make difficult decisions, and pursue your vision despite opposition. Going against the grain requires courage, resilience, and self-confidence because it often invites criticism, doubt, and isolation. Yet, it is precisely in these moments, when you choose principle over popularity, that your character is built and your inner power is revealed. Many people fear standing alone because they equate it with loneliness or failure. They worry about judgment, rejection, or losing the support of others. While these fears are natural, they are not permanent barriers unless you allow them to be. Standing alone is not about isolation. It is about clarity. It is about having a clear understanding of your values, priorities, and purpose, and refusing to compromise them for the sake of acceptance. When you stand alone, you define yourself on your own terms rather than letting the opinions or expectations of others dictate your life. The process of developing this strength begins with self-awareness. You must know who you are, what you stand for, and why your goals matter. Without this clarity, standing alone can feel daunting and directionless. With it, standing alone becomes an act of empowerment, a declaration that you will not be swayed by negativity, conformity, or external pressure. Each time you make a choice that aligns with your principles, even in the absence of support, your confidence grows and your resilience deepens. Another important aspect is embracing the discomfort that comes with going against the crowd. People may question your choices, misunderstand your intentions, or try to pull you back into conformity. These reactions are not a reflection of your worth or capability. They are a reflection of others' comfort with the status quo. By persisting despite these reactions, you cultivate a sense of inner security that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Strength is not developed in easy or comfortable situations. It is cultivated in resistance, challenge, and perseverance. Standing alone also teaches you to trust yourself. When you are not relying on validation, approval, or guidance from others, you learn to listen to your intuition and make decisions based on your own judgment. This trust in your abilities and instincts is the foundation of self-reliance, independence, and personal empowerment. Over time, the more you practice standing alone, the less fear you have of taking bold actions, making unconventional choices, or pursuing paths that others may not understand. Ultimately, standing alone is not a sign of weakness or separation. It is a sign of courage, clarity, and strength. It demonstrates your willingness to honor your values, take responsibility for your choices, and lead a life that is authentic and purposeful. The more you embrace the challenge of standing alone, the more you realize that your greatest power comes not from the approval of others, but from the conviction, discipline, and courage you carry within yourself. Embracing your unique voice and vision means recognizing that you were created to offer something the world cannot replicate. Too often, people compare themselves to others, measuring their worth by how closely they resemble someone else's success, appearance, or achievements. This comparison steals confidence, creativity, and purpose because it focuses attention outward instead of inward. Your voice, perspective, and dreams are uniquely yours, and they hold value precisely because no one else can replicate them. Embracing your individuality allows you to cultivate authenticity, creativity, and the courage to pursue goals that align with your personal calling rather than conforming to external expectations. Comparison creates limitations. When you constantly measure yourself against the accomplishments or lifestyles of others, you overlook your own strengths and potential. It encourages self-doubt and discourages risk-taking because you begin to believe that you are not enough or that you need to be like someone else to succeed. In reality, the greatest impact you can make comes from leveraging your unique talents and perspectives. When you focus on your own voice and vision, you unlock the capacity to innovate, inspire, and create a path that is meaningful and fulfilling. Cultivating your unique voice requires self-awareness and reflection. You must take the time to understand your passions, your values, and the contributions only you can make. This means listening to your intuition, acknowledging your strengths, and embracing the quirks, experiences, and perspectives that set you apart. By prioritizing self-discovery, you begin to separate your authentic goals from the noise of societal pressures, critics, or comparative metrics. Your vision becomes a compass that guides your actions, decisions, and aspirations, keeping you focused on what truly matters rather than what others expect. It also requires courage to share your voice, especially when it differs from the mainstream or challenges conventional norms. People may question, doubt, or criticize your choices because they do not understand your perspective. These reactions are inevitable, but they are not indicators of your value or potential. The more you act in alignment with your vision, the stronger your confidence becomes, and the more you inspire others to honor their own uniqueness. Influence grows not by imitating others, but by being authentically yourself and demonstrating the power of a clear individual voice. Surrounding yourself with supportive people further strengthens your ability to embrace your uniqueness. Mentors, friends, and allies who celebrate your individuality rather than pushing conformity help reinforce the value of your voice. They challenge you to grow, encourage you to take bold actions, and help you maintain focus on your personal vision. At the same time, it is important to distance yourself from influences that undermine or diminish your authenticity because energy is contagious and can either limit or expand your potential. Embracing your unique voice and vision transforms the way you approach life, work, and relationships. It shifts focus from seeking approval to creating impact, from imitation to innovation, and from fear of judgment to confidence in purpose. When you commit to honoring your individuality, your actions become intentional, your creativity flourishes, and your journey becomes a reflection of your own values and passions rather than the expectations of others. Your life is yours to write, and every day offers a fresh opportunity to begin a new chapter. Many people live as if the story has already been written, allowing past failures, mistakes, or the opinions of others to dictate their path. They postpone dreams, delay action, and wait for circumstances to be perfect before taking the first step. The truth is, perfection is an illusion, and waiting only prolongs the life you could be creating. The moment you take responsibility for your story, you reclaim control over your future and open the door to possibilities that were previously unseen. Taking ownership of your life requires recognizing that your past does not define you. Failures, setbacks, and disappointments are experiences, not identities. They provide lessons and insights that, when embraced, can guide you toward wiser decisions and stronger action. Too often, people let past mistakes hold them hostage, replaying regret and self-doubt instead of using those experiences as fuel to propel forward. When you acknowledge that the power to rewrite your story resides in your own hands, the past becomes a teacher rather than a jailer. Action is the bridge between intention and transformation. Thinking about change without acting creates frustration and stagnation. Even the smallest step toward your goals is a declaration that you are willing to take control of your life. Daily choices, no matter how minor they seem, accumulate over time into significant progress. Each decision to act reinforces the belief that your life is in your control, not in the control of circumstances, other people's opinions, or fear of failure. Momentum grows from action, and momentum is the engine that carries you toward your desired future. Courage is essential because taking ownership often means going against expectations, stepping into the unknown, and risking criticism or failure. Fear will always accompany change, but it should never be the reason to remain stuck. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. Every time you act in alignment with your vision, even in the face of fear, you build resilience, confidence, and clarity. Courage transforms uncertainty into opportunity and hesitation into progress. Clarity of purpose is another vital component. Understanding your values, passions, and long-term vision provides direction when choices are difficult. Without clarity, action can be aimless and progress slow. When you know what you stand for and where you want to go, every decision becomes easier because it can be measured against your personal vision rather than external pressures. This alignment ensures that the story you are writing is authentic and meaningful, reflecting who you truly are rather than what others expect of you. Ultimately, taking ownership of your life empowers you to be the author of your story. No one else can write the chapters for you, and waiting for permission or approval only delays your potential. By embracing responsibility, taking consistent action, summoning courage, and maintaining clarity of purpose, you transform your life from one defined by circumstance into one shaped intentionally by your choices. Each day becomes a blank page, and every action you take is a sentence, paragraph, or chapter in the story that is uniquely yours to create.